The car door slammed and the sound didn't echo. Snow swallowed it. "Walk," he said. One word, final. The headlights vanished, and the dark rushed in like it had been waiting. I stood there shaking, not crying yet, my breath scraping my lungs raw. 16 years old. Thin jacket. Boots already soaked. The road stretched ahead, black and endless like a dare. He'd done this before with silence, with threats, with that look that said obedience was love. This time he wanted punishment to leave marks. I started walking because stopping felt worse. Every step burned. My fingers went numb first. Then my thoughts slowed, turned stupid. I kept hearing his voice, calm and righteous, explaining later how I talked back, how I needed discipline, how good fathers set boundaries. He would tell the story cleanly. He always did. Once he carried me on his shoulders at a fair. Once he taught me to tie a knot, patient and proud. I learned early that those memories were currency. He spent them whenever he needed me quiet. Love, then fear, praise, then distance. It took years to understand the pattern, because it was wrapped in normalcy, barbecues, family photos, smiles with teeth clenched. I slipped. My knee hit ice. Pain flashed white. I stayed down longer than I should have. The dark felt heavy, like it could press me flat and end the math of suffering. That's when the headlights came back, slower this time. Different car. My grandfather's. He didn't ask questions. He didn't lecture. He wrapped his coat around me with hands that shook harder than mine. The car was warm. I remember that more than anything. Warmth felt like forgiveness. The ER lights were too bright. A nurse asked how long I'd been exposed. Someone checked my fingers, my lips. Hypothermia. The word landed with a thud. A social worker arrived, then another. The room filled with quiet professionals who didn't smile the way my parents did. They listened. They wrote things down. I watched the ceiling and learned something important. Truth doesn't need volume. It needs witnesses. After that, I didn't argue anymore. I observed. I collected dates, times, bruises photographed in bad bathroom light, texts saved, not answered, voicemails archived. I learned which teachers noticed and which pretended not to. I learned the sound of my father's footsteps, when he was angry and how to be elsewhere when they approached. Planning isn't dramatic. It's boring. It's restraint when you want to scream. It's letting people underestimate your endurance. I let him think the scare worked. I said yes. I said sorry, I shrank. CPS checked in. My father turned charming. He rehearsed. I stayed quiet and handed over copies. Not accusations, evidence, patterns, consistency is devastating when it's patient. The arrest came on a Tuesday. I was at school when they pulled him aside. The hallway went silent in that way hallways do when something real happens. He didn't look at me. That hurt more than the cuffs. It meant he still thought this was a misunderstanding he could out-talk. The house collapsed without noise. Neighbors watched from behind curtains. The perfect family cracked and no one rushed to fix it. My mother cried for the image, not the damage. I felt nothing and everything. Relief has a sharp edge. At the hearing, he finally spoke to me. Not an apology. A warning. He said I'd ruined him. I nodded. I'd learned that nods end conversations faster than truth. Years later, I think about that road. How long it felt. How small I was in the dark. I think about my grandfather's hands, steady and sure. About the ER warmth. About the moment I realized survival could be strategic. Revenge didn't look like shouting. It looked like paperwork. It looked like waiting. It looked like letting a man be exactly who he was in front of people trained to see it. I don't hate him anymore. Hate requires attention. I give him none. What I have instead is distance and a quiet pride. I walked out of the freezing dark and didn't look back.